Hello and welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I am Elvis, your host. I'm here to let you know that this is a not safe for work podcast. We are teachers at the end of the week and really the end of our ropes, and we'd like to be able to talk honestly and openly about teaching without having to worry about losing our jobs. So we'll be talking honestly and openly while using pseudonyms, hence the Elvis. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor at Lud Lamb Dramatics. If you are a theater teacher, or you know a theater teacher, or you're just some high school teacher who got stuck doing the UIL play or after school drama club, go to ludlamdramatics.com. They have some of the best resources you can use in your classroom to help explain concepts to yourself and to your students. They create them all. It's a small run business by a teacher who we love very much. So I'd like to support them at Lud Lamb Dramatics. Go check them out now. Also, I'd like to give a big thank you to all of our Patreon patrons out there. We have a growing, thriving group of patrons who just help support us. And if you would like to help support us and contribute to what we're doing, how we might help your mental health or discussion or get you through the week, help join our Patreons. You get access to all kinds of extra bonus episodes, lots of content. You get to chat with the host. We have an amazing Facebook group where we talk and chat with a lot of the hosts popping in under their real names all the time. And it's just a really great thing. I think you guys should do it. It's only $5, $10 a month. And I'd like to thank all the people who are with us in there now. A big thank you to Helena C., Aaron B., Stephanie S., Maggie M., Texas Teacher Kristen, Miss Sunshine, Hattie F., James and Allie J., Jody D., Samantha D., Lisa C., Rachel, Tarina, Exhausted Band Director, Kimberly K., Kim K., Jessica A., Swivel Ev Owners, Amanda F., Ariana L., Physics Runner, Melissa V., Steph, Science Teach 17, Michael M., William P., Sarah O., Aldrich T., La Scorpionita, Britt M., Iron Swine, Noel R., Teresa H., Biker Teach, Caitlin L., Marsha M., Christina B., Miss Alabama, who's not going to be a teacher much longer. I love her. Kristen B., Jason F., Amber H., Abby B., Ann T., Sarah B., Regina N., Josie S., Sam B., Lucy P., Mary E., Jamie B., Red Violin, Kristen W., Vanessa J., Mary C., RJ R., Kristen C., Johanna H., Tony K., Irma A., Nimi, Melissa M., and Sarah N. Thank you guys for supporting our patron. I love you guys so much. So it is almost spring break for us here, and I'm just going to keep the podcast going. We only were able to get 2 hosts this week. I have the wonderful, lovely Miss Bunny O'Hare, as well as Miss Rosie Rose joining me today, and so they chat with us, and there was a lot of stuff I ended up cutting because it just went off task, but that's going to be available on the Patreon. It's pretty funny, some of the conversations Rosie has. And also, I had something big I was going to tell you guys. My brain must be getting a little fried. I'm actually in Little Rock, Arkansas right now. I'm going to Memphis tomorrow for a big teacher convention. I'm going to be there for the rest of the week. But, I don't know. Thanks for liking the podcast. Keep listening. Spread the word. Tell a couple teachers in your building about us. And, just keep it going. There's merch available on the website if you're not Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. And, if you can, leave a review. We got some trolls out there who just don't like us, so they leave shitty reviews. Be the anti-troll. Support us. Anyway, I love you. Enjoy the show. Cheers.
That's how I got cancer. I was like, well, there it is. That's how I got cancer.
Well, welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast.
Jesus Christ.
I am Elvis, your host, and joining me today, I have Miss Rosie Rose.
Hello, Elvis. How are you?
Ooh, I'm something. And I also have Miss Bunny O'Hare.
Hey, Elvis. Hey, folks.
So I am split between spring breaks right now because in this part of Texas where we are, there's one chunk of the schools do spring break this week, and then another chunk of schools do spring break next week, and my schools are all over both of them, and so I don't really have like a full week off. I get like 2 days, like I work today for a little bit, and then I had to take a day for Thursday, but then next week I'm working Monday and Tuesday, but the rest of my week it's just all backwards and crazy. And so I'm curious, are either of you in spring break, or is that coming for you, or what's going on?
4 days, but who's counting?
Mine's 3 days and counting.
Do you actually have a day off, or is it like early release that Friday?
It's a day off. It was supposed to be a bad weather makeup day on Friday and then the Monday after spring break. But since they're not making us make up any of our bad weathers, we get that Friday and that Monday off.
Ooh, fancy. They're making us do it. But the thing is, none of this makes sense because, like, geographically, these schools and districts are all over the place. It seems almost random which ones choose which week. I wonder if the travel board was just like, no, only so many people can go down to Galveston.
I was about to say, we can't have everybody at the Perot Museum at the same time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Have I asked you guys how you're doing, or should we just go ahead and jump into a story?
You haven't, but you should probably do that because we are human beings and we deserve love and attention.
Oh, wow.
So, Miss Rosie Rose, you told me a story earlier this week about someone who was on your campus. Why don't you share that story with us?
That's not asking how I'm doing.
Hey, Rosie, how are you doing?
I'm fucking surviving, Elvis, okay? I'm counting down the days to spring break where I can sleep for like 48 hours and maybe I'll feel human again. That's really just what's happening right now.
So
what was
shared with me this week earlier that you had a friend who has a job and possibly there's an opening for you in that. Is this one of the first times you've seriously considered leaving nursing at schools or like?
Yeah, this is the first time that I've thought maybe I wouldn't mind going elsewhere. Granted, that thought has now been fleeting. I think I'm going to at least stick it out another year.
Yeah.
Hoping that my admin changes as in leaves and or, whatever. But yeah, it's the first time I really thought about, I think I need to do something else because I can't do this anymore.
That's intense.
Yep.
And then go ahead and share with, Bunny and I'll have questions. I know she might know a little bit more than me. So you had to do CPR on someone like twice and they coded and...
Okay, so the first time I did not.
Didn't do CPR?
No.
Okay.
Kind of find out this person has had CPR done on them by one of my colleagues at a different school.
Let's backtrack. Who is this person? Why are they on your campus?
Okay, so she is like a floating para.
Okay.
It's kind of like a sub, but she's hired by a specific department to float to those specific classrooms. Mm-hmm. And so she had been at a previous elementary school and then floated to our campus. No one knew really who she was, anything. And yeah, so I'm sitting in my office. It's like 9:45 on a Friday, doing nothing exciting. And by that, I mean my job. And I get a call on the radio at the exact same time that my cell phone rings and someone comes running into my office all like, hey, you got to come to our classroom. We have a teacher who's down. So I run to this classroom and there's a woman that I don't know. And the only reason I knew, and I'm like, oh, I know who this person is. I watched her walk in that morning and said to myself, who the fuck is this? Like, I don't know who this person is. And so I introduced myself to her when she came in that morning. And I was like, that's the only reason I knew what this woman's name was. So I come in, she's on the floor, kind of in the corner, and the teacher in the classroom is like, hey, she said she wasn't feeling really well, needed to sit down. And then she said she needed to lay down. So she's been over here and I think she had a seizure. And I was like, cool. So I go over there. This woman is completely out, breathing, but not coherent. Mm-hmm. And so I send the teacher back to my office to get blood pressure, little pulse off, all the things so I can check her vitals.
Yeah.
All the things I should have brought with me if someone had been like, hey, this is what happened, emergency. Instead of just like, come to our room quick. So I'm going to check that off in my brain to have that ready to go no matter what. And so she's breathing. I kind of like smack her a little bit to wake her up. And she comes to enough to tell me her name, what had happened. We start talking about what it is that's wrong with her. Like, did she take her medicine for her seizure disorder, whatever. And then she completely passes out. So I get on the phone with 911. I'm like, this is above my pay grade. Come get this woman. They get there. She's completely awake by this point. She's talking to me. I've gotten her sitting up. And the second EMS, and there's like 6 of them, I don't know why they send so many, walks in the door, she codes on the floor. And so I get out of the way. They bring in all the shit, get her together. Here's the hard part. We don't know her employee ID number because she's a central employee. She's not on our campus. We don't have emergency contact information because she's a central employee. And so all I knew was her name, and I couldn't open her phone because it was a Face ID. And apparently when your eyes are closed, your Face ID does not work. I tried. And And I think the only reason we figured it out is we were able to call her boss and her boss's boss and finally get someone and say like, hey, they're taking her to the hospital. But they took her away in an ambulance. I want to say massive props to the 2 teachers in that classroom. It is a special needs classroom.
Of course.
And it would have absolutely those kids would have lost it if they knew what was happening. But that teacher and her co-teacher, like, those kids had no idea what was going on. They were perfect, like handoff, like take the kids here. Like, it was amazing. So shout out to those 2. And then she was back on Monday. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so, and you said that she had this happen at another school. You found out from one of your coworkers who works at another school?
Okay, so when you, fun fact for anyone, call 911 on your campus, it alerts campus security and like district security. And more often than not, it will alert the director of health services. So like she straight up gets like a voicemail or an email saying, hey, 911 was called on this campus, check on it.
Okay.
So my director calls me and was like, hey, what's going on? And the second I said this woman's name, she's like, oh yeah, this is the 4th time this year, as in like since January, that this has happened.
Shut up.
Shit.
Yeah. And so then she tells me, oh, she's at this other school, but HIPAA, not going to tell me stuff. She said she had 3 instances with this same woman on her campus. So all of the other 3 calls in the year was from the same nurse, and she'd had to perform CPR.
Holy shit. And so they were still just putting her in the classroom. Because the thing is, if it happens once, shit does happen.
Right.
And you can go see a doctor, get your medication adjusted, whatever. And if it happens twice, I mean, that's a possibility. Maybe the medication hasn't stabilized. You're not worried. But if this happens 4 times somewhere else, you're at another campus, that's a problem that needs to be dealt with. This isn't like move the preacher to another church. This is
and I think what made me so angry is that this is the 4th time it has happened and no one has talked about it. No one has tried to come up with a solution. So of course I got my angry pants on and I'm like emailing people left and right. Like, what the fuck do we have to do to fix this? Because I think they were afraid of the ramifications because she does have a medical disorder. And so disability and like fair working and all of that. And so I think they were just afraid of what they could and couldn't talk about. And so I went over HIPAA and FERPA with a fine-tooth comb trying to find out if it was against it for us to know when she's on campus. And I'm not saying everyone needs to know. I'm not even saying admin needs to know, but tell the fucking school nurse, hey, you have this teacher with a known seizure disorder. She's done this multiple times. Just be aware. That's it.
I mean, when you're in a new building, you usually have to write some kind of next of kin or who they're going to notify if something
Exactly.
happens.
And so this was her 3rd day on our campus, and we didn't even have her emergency contact or her employee ID number.
Yeah, that's a big mess up, not on her end, but on whoever's moving her around or whoever's in charge.
Yeah.
If that body's going to be on the campus, you need to have some kind of liability for when this shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
And also, maybe you'll know not to put them in a room of very needing special need or of special need kids that, might be traumatized by this happening.
Well, so the worst of it is we come to find out that her seizures are caused by stress. Maybe. And I'm like, woman, you were in a self-contained classroom with children all over the place, and you gonna tell me that stress causes a seizure?
Oh, God. Bless her heart, surely.
I know.
They could put her in an office, have her fill in for secretaries who are missing as a parent.
I know.
Go do standardized testing with people. That's not, see, this is where someone in HR is just not doing their job. They need to put her in a place they don't need to fire her because that would be a wrongful lawsuit.
Right.
They could find a position where she could operate safely
exactly.
I think
that's what bothered me more was not just her safety, but the safety of the students that she is around. Because what if she fell on one of the kids when she passed out? It's a huge safety issue.
Well, and if people don't know, no one's there to help her. Because we could be 2 bodies in a classroom watching kids, and I just assume the other person has a neurotypical brain. And I'm I'm going to step out in the hallway and go get some water or go take a quick pee.
Right.
And that's when she has a seizure and falls and hits her head or something happens.
Right.
It sucks because in a normal environment, I'd say, you know what, I can wait or I can get someone else to be in here so you're not the only person alone.
So, related note, my mom Mama O'Hare worked as a para for years with a teacher who had a more minor, hers were just, I forget what the official name for it is, absence seizures is what they used to call them. My mom wasn't able to take her duty-free lunch for years because this other teacher couldn't be left unattended in the classroom because in case she had a seizure. And her campus admin apparently didn't think it was a high enough priority to find someone to come in for 30 minutes a day so that my mom could take her 30 minutes of duty-free lunch. Like, she was with this teacher all the time.
Oh, man.
For that same reason, because if she has a seizure, she can't be the only adult in the room.
Yeah, but come on, use your brain, admin.
Yeah.
There's other ways around that other than your mom doesn't get duty-free lunch for 12 years.
For 12 whole years.
Mm-hmm. She always had to eat in that classroom with kids staring at her. Well, Bunny, how was your day today?
It was a mixed bag. Most of the day was okay. The highlight of the day was followed immediately by the low light of the day. So I finished my day by subbing in another teacher's classroom just for, sub shortage coverage, And I noticed when I came into the room that this teacher had a half-eaten candy bar on her desk. As one does. She ran out in a hurry. And by the end of class, I look over and the half candy bar is gone.
No.
And so I feel bad because I'm like, apparently I was not watching this class close enough. If somebody and so I text her and she was like, oh God, that wasn't even my candy bar. Some kid left it in here earlier.
Oh.
So some nasty child stole a half-eaten candy bar off this desk that they don't even know who ate the other half of it because it wasn't
disgusting.
So that made me laugh a lot just because sometimes karma is a beautiful thing. And then shortly after that, I reached down to pick up my purse and realized that some little shithead had gotten into my purse and taken all of the cash out of my wallet.
Oh.
First time in 18 years of teaching that has happened.
Oh, wow.
So
18 years. Should give him 18. Sorry.
That sucks.
So I was big mad about that. It wasn't like it was a lot of cash, but it's the point of the thing.
But still, that's the principle.
The shitty thing.
You're probably trying to find another candy bar.
I emailed the campus secretary and was like, I won't sub in that class again. Like, you can ask me to help for other classes, but I'm not going back to that room. So this is from the Reddits, from user Maestro Ampar. Petty paybacks are worth it. There's a student in one of my classes who always has the latest and most expensive shoes. He does the least amount of work in the class, but always talks about his shoes. Also, he makes fun of my shoes. I wear Brooks running shoes because they are comfortable, but not stylish enough for him. I don't mind it because he's not mean-spirited, but he just keeps talking about his shoes. Today, he had a new pair of some $300 athletic shoes on. He told me about them, and I nodded as he asked me how much mine cost. I don't remember how much I paid, I said as I walked away. He laughed. After school, I see him walking, and I pull up next to him in my 1965 red Mustang convertible. Yes, that's what I drive to school. I drop the top, smile, and say, "Nice shoes. They're really good for walking." Then I drive off. I did happen to catch him smile as I left. That was worth the entire year of his bragging.
Yeah, I'm going to call bullshit on this story.
Yeah, and then everyone around him started clapping and applauding.
The whole bar stood up and applauded.
Yeah,
like,
everyone
number
cheered.
one, the man who wrote this has a tiny, tiny left shoe and a big ego. There's no way. I mean, if he works in fucking South Lake, maybe there's a kid coming in with $300 shoes and bragging about it. But you're not gonna. And then I pull up next to him in my red Mustang. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I would.
Rosie call him bullshit.
I'm not saying teachers can't have nice cars, because I know teachers who have very nice cars. I know teachers who have stylish cars and like custom cars, but you know what they don't do? They don't put them in the parking lots where kids are going to fuck with them. They leave them at home, or they drive their normal car. If you have a nice, sweet drop top, whatever, because kids are assholes. And even if they've got nothing against you, they might decide just to go fuck with that car or go try to jump on top of the car, because kids are assholes.
And you know, $300 athletic shoe kid is going to go find that car and fuck it up if this were a true story.
That's true. If you had that really one nice, sweet car and the kids knew you drove it, unless you were like the most loved teacher on campus, someone's going to fuck with it just because. Because senseless violence, man. Senseless.
I call bullshit. But I do know there are a lot of kids, especially high schoolers, who brag about their fucking shoes like their mommy didn't buy it for them.
Yeah, that's the one thing, because the school my son goes to is mixed. There's like lower class, there's middle class, a lot of upper middle class, and there's some wealthy as shit kids and parents there. And there are some kids that are like, their dad drops them off in a Maserati and shit like that, and he brags about having all these fancy things, and I'm going to get this car, and here's pictures of where I play basketball or whatever the hell.
You're like, great, but do your parents love you?
Well, the kid's still like a whiny penis. And he's like, yeah, no, he's still a wiener. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't change. Like, there might be a couple girls who are attracted to him because he has money, but you know he's a dumbass, so don't sweat it, man. I'm sorry your dad's poor.
I'm sorry your dad's a teacher.
I'm sorry your dad's a teacher. But if more people sign up for Patreon, you know, maybe I can get
We have a Patreon?
Hey, guys, guess what?
I bet I know.
We have a Patreon.
Called it.
No, that is not what I was thinking.
No, we have a raging, flourishing, vibrating, pulsating Patreon that is insane. And we have a lot of...
Why is it vibrating?
It's with joy, with excitement, with anticipation. No, we have a wonderful Patreon that you can join to for as little as $5, $10 a month. You get access to all kinds of bonus episodes, extra content. There's a whole section of this show where Rosie and I were talking about dating and how much it sucks that I'm probably going to put on the Patreon because it's not going to make it to live in the episode. And then we also do watch parties.
I'm offended, but yes.
We have a beautiful Facebook group that you can join and meet other like-minded teachers. I made several friends in there that were like friends, and we chat and we send messages. It's so cool.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
It's cool. I mean, Rosie, if you want to find friends, I mean, they're in there.
I don't want friends.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into this now. Anyway, friends, come join the Patreon. Do it now. Woohoo! Woohoo! Would you rather shower for 2 minutes with boiling hot water?
Yes.
Or post a family photo on Facebook where everyone is naked?
Yes.
I'm going with the family photo. I don't like being scalded with boiling water. It hurts. And
so you mean boiling, like reach the boiling point, it could kill you?
I'm taking it literally, like boiling water, 2 minutes. Not like, hey, I'm one of those people who just likes their skin pink. Like,
okay, so are they...
Literally. I'm not trying to get second-degree burns here.
Yeah.
Okay, but is the family picture, are they naked, or are they like Donald Duck in it?
No, I'm assuming naked, like full genitalia.
To answer your question, naked family. I'm not looking for wound care.
Yeah, no.
I'd like to keep my skins.
I like my skins.
I'd like to keep my skins. So we all decide on naked family?
Yes, because then you can do the whole like strategic placement of vases and things.
You know, that's our own, because my family is me and 2 young underage children, so that's going to be bad for anyone who's looking at it.
Yeah.
No, strategic placement of those funny stickers and pieces of furniture and shit.
It would just be me lying naked on my side and them standing behind me.
Could you imagine the look on your children's faces?
Anyway, thanks for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I'd like to thank my host with me, Rosie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for cutting 99.9% of what I say.
Yeah, I'm curious of how much I'm going to cut out of this. Yeah. And also, Bunny O'Hare, I'm glad you were here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right, friends. Well, take care of yourselves. Enjoy your spring break. Deep breaths, deep drinks. Cheers! Woohoo! Yay!
Do.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can find. All right, my friends, thanks for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. Teacher Needs a Drink podcast comes out every Wednesday and is proudly sponsored by Lud Lamb Dramatics. If you are a theater teacher or no one in your building, send them to Lud Lamb Dramatics and then get some of the best resources. If you have something you'd like to share with us here at Teacher Needs a Drink podcast, you can send us a message to the contact page of our website, teacherneedsadrinkpodcast.com. We would love to read it on the air and keep us from having to keep going through Reddit and all that. I think that's really everything I got, my friends. Sign up for the Patreon. Big thank you to Rosie Rose and Miss Bunny O'Hare for being with me here tonight. I love them dearly. And there is honestly like another 20 minutes of stuff cut from this. That was Rosie and me and Bunny just babbling and silly shit that Rosie says that will be available on the Patreon. So if you're interested, go check it out. All right, my friends, take care of your mental health. Deep breaths, deep drinks. Cheers. Yeah, I'm not going to put your dick quest on in the Patreon.
I did not say it was a dick quest. I just am exhausted at even trying to meet new people in general. I don't want more friends. Like, I have enough.